Chosen one, you didn't just survive some random harassment campaign or dodge a few criminals trying to make your life difficult. You single-handedly brought down an international coven, exposed governmental corruption at the highest levels, and dismantled a sex trafficking network that operated with impunity for decades. While they thought they were playing games with a naive target, you were gathering evidence, maintaining surveillance systems, and building the case that would ultimately destroy them all. Let me paint the real picture for you. That wealthy individual who's been pulling strings behind your persecution. They didn't target you randomly after you had some minor disagreement. After you blew the whistle on their corrupt employees and cost them their dirty money pipeline, they made destroying your life their personal business venture. They literally invested in your destruction the same way others invest in stocks and real estate. You thought you were dealing with regular people having bad days or personal vendettas. Actually, you were up against professional psychological warfare specialists who study manipulation like others study mathematics or engineering. They have manuals, training programs, and operational procedures for destroying people like you who threaten their criminal enterprises. They sent monitoring spirits to sit next to you in courthouses, asking innocent questions designed to trap you into violating restraining orders you never should have received in the first place. Remember that person who sat down and immediately started interrogating you about your case? They weren't curious. They were conducting intelligence-gathering operations for a criminal network. That conversation went exactly like this. They sit down next to you, ask what you're there for. Then when you say you don't know, they press harder, asking if you've talked to them. When you explain there's a restraining order preventing contact, they're gathering evidence to see if you violated it. They needed you to slip up, to say something they could twist, to give them ammunition for their next legal attack. Instead, you stayed quiet and gave them nothing. Your spiritual discernment protected you from a trap designed by professionals who have used this exact technique to destroy countless other people. Your refusal to engage saved you from additional false charges they were hoping to manufacture. You've been too busy people-pleasing to recognize that these individuals operate as bigots who fundamentally hate what you represent. You could have given them everything you owned, apologized for breathing their air, and thanked them for persecuting you. They still would have continued their assault because their hatred isn't based on your actions. It's based on your very existence as someone who threatens their corrupt system. The gang-stalking operation they deployed against you involves sending fake helpers who approach with manufactured concern. They make you feel safe, build false trust, extract information about your vulnerabilities and resources, then weaponize everything you shared against you in future attacks. You've encountered these people multiple times without recognizing the pattern because they're professionally trained to appear genuine. Your truth-telling nature became their greatest obstacle because their entire strategy depends on victims lying, hiding information, or appearing deceptive under pressure. They needed you compromised and untrustworthy. Instead, you documented everything, installed surveillance systems throughout your property, and maintained honesty even when truth made your situation look worse temporarily. Now we get to the real criminals in this story, that married couple who built their entire lifestyle off your stolen identity. They didn't just take your credit cards or run up some debt in your name. They put commercial property in your name, established businesses using your credentials, and created a financial empire funded by your labor, while you struggled to understand why success felt impossible despite your best efforts. This couple received a message of concern from those higher courts because federal investigators discovered the scope of their identity theft operation. They've been profiting from your toil and labor for years, systematically redirecting your productivity into their bank accounts while engineering your downfall with military precision and governmental protection. You want to know why you could never get ahead financially, no matter how hard you worked or how smart your decisions were? Because every dollar you earned was being siphoned through systems they controlled. Your own work ethic was financing the weapons they used against you. The irony would be hilarious if it wasn't so devastating to your quality of life. They enjoyed protection from corrupt governmental officials who manipulated legal proceedings in their favor whenever you tried to seek justice. Court orders, official documents, judicial rulings, all twisted to serve their agenda, while you fought for basic fairness with one hand tied behind your back and no understanding of how deep the corruption went. Their ultimate strategy involved false imprisonment, designed to put you in the penal system permanently. They orchestrated elaborate setups, knowing that a criminal record would destroy your credibility forever. If they could make you appear as the criminal, no one would investigate them as the real perpetrators of systematic financial crimes. You refused to participate in their sexual exploitation ring, and that refusal triggered their desperation more than any other single factor. They needed you compromised, controllable, dependent on systems they managed for your basic survival. Your moral boundaries became their greatest strategic problem, because corruption only works when everyone participates willingly or under duress. Remember when they tried sending people to tempt you into compromising situations? You looked at what they offered and thought, I don't engage in activities like that, especially not with the individuals you're sending my direction. Your rejection of their corruption saved your life and preserved your integrity under extreme pressure. Their connection to sex trafficking represents the darkest aspect of their operation, because this wasn't opportunistic crime or individual moral failure. This was systematic human exploitation, operating under governmental protection, with official documentation, legal cover stories, and law enforcement cooperation at multiple levels. The corrupt judge overseeing your case demonstrated how deeply this conspiracy penetrated judicial systems. Your legal proceedings became theater performances designed to validate predetermined outcomes, while creating the appearance of legitimate justice for anyone observing casually. You sat in that courtroom watching obvious corruption unfold in real time, while maintaining your dignity and documenting everything for future reference. Every biased ruling, every ignored piece of evidence, every procedural violation, you noted it all while they assumed you were just another victim who would accept injustice quietly. Even the judge had compromised integrity, participating in this systematic persecution of someone who had done nothing wrong except threaten their criminal profits through whistleblowing activities. The entire system was corrupted, specifically to protect their operations while destroying anyone who threatened their business model. The wealthy mastermind's business empire depended on corrupt employees who facilitated illegal operations through official channels and governmental positions. Your whistleblowing didn't just expose individual wrongdoing, it revealed systematic corruption that cost them millions in lost revenue and ongoing legal exposure across multiple jurisdictions. Chosen one. The scope of what you've been fighting will absolutely blow your mind when you see the complete picture. This isn't random crime or individual corruption scattered across different locations. You've been battling an international coven, a sadistic network spread across multiple countries, operating with corporate efficiency and intelligence agency secrecy. This coven practices systematic lies, deceit, trickery, and manipulation on an industrial scale that would make multinational corporations envious. Their trafficking operations move people, money, and influence across borders with Fortune 500 efficiency. They've turned human exploitation into a profitable science with research and development departments. You became the catalyst that broke their entire system because your high vibration created interference they couldn't overcome through traditional manipulation techniques. Their low-frequency psychological warfare tactics failed completely against your elevated consciousness and spiritual protection that operates automatically. Your lifestyle as someone who prefers home, family, and simple pleasures confounded their expectations entirely. They needed you corrupted, compromised, desperate for what they offered through their network of false opportunities. Instead, they encountered someone whose happiness came from sources they couldn't touch, control, or manipulate, regardless of their resources. You were literally the straw that broke their operation because you consistently refused to engage with their toxic frequency, despite years of systematic pressure. They sent manipulation after manipulation, each one failing against your natural immunity to their psychological warfare techniques and spiritual discernment. Official intervention arrived when your situation triggered federal protocols reserved for the most serious criminal investigations with international implications. A detective was placed on your case, not because of local crime or individual complaints, but because federal authorities recognized the scope and sophisticated nature of what was happening to you. Higher courts became involved when accumulated evidence reached levels that demanded federal attention and resources beyond local jurisdiction capabilities. Your message of concern was received by judicial authorities with actual power to override local corruption and deliver meaningful justice instead of theatrical proceedings. Behind closed doors, conversations now center on damage control for a criminal network whose exposure threatens to topple governmental officials, business leaders, and judicial figures who enabled their operations for personal profit and political protection over extended periods. Your SOS was answered by people with genuine authority and unlimited resources to take meaningful action against international criminal organizations. Divine timing aligned the right evidence with the right officials at the precise moment when intervention could be most effective and legally sustainable. You've been held in high honor throughout this ordeal by people who recognized your integrity, while others tried to destroy your reputation through systematic character assassination. Expectations now exist for resolution that delivers real justice rather than continued persecution through corrupted systems and false legal proceedings. Victim testimonies began emerging once official protection made speaking out safe for the first time in years. People who endured drugging, exploitation, and trafficking found courage to share their experiences when they realized the system might finally listen and act instead of protecting perpetrators. Survivors describe awakening in unfamiliar places after being chemically compromised, finding themselves in situations they never consented to experience or participate in. Their testimonies reveal systematic patterns of predation operating under official protection and legal cover across multiple jurisdictions. Evidence clearly shows how this network viewed human beings as commodities to be bought, sold, traded, and discarded according to profit calculations rather than moral considerations or basic human dignity and legal rights. People were literally enslaved to these criminals' sexual addictions and drug dependencies through systematic application of chemical dependency and psychological manipulation that created artificial needs only the network could satisfy. The entertainment business they operated created elaborate games where reality and fiction blurred deliberately. Real people became unwilling participants in scenarios designed to generate content, revenue, and psychological control through systematically applied trauma and manipulation techniques. You provided the missing pieces that connected isolated crimes into a comprehensive picture of systematic corruption, spanning multiple countries and governmental levels. Your testimony gave investigators the framework they needed to understand how individual incidents formed part of a larger criminal conspiracy. Your documentation efforts created the evidence trail needed to prosecute crimes that typically leave no physical proof or credible witnesses willing to testify. Every camera angle, every recorded conversation, every piece of evidence you gathered became ammunition for justice that couldn't be dismissed or explained away. You became the closure provider for countless victims who suffered in silence, believing they were alone in their experiences and that no one would believe their stories. Your courage to speak out gave others permission to share their own testimonies for the first time. Your cycle-breaking energy helped terminate destructive patterns that continued for years because victims couldn't escape systems specifically designed to keep them trapped through fear, shame, isolation, and economic dependency on their abusers. Corruption exposure through your whistleblowing revealed how deeply this network penetrated governmental systems, using official authority to protect criminal operations while systematically persecuting those who threatened their profits through truthful testimony. The perpetrator's health decline began immediately when higher courts became involved and real consequences became inevitable. Physical stress manifested when they realized their legal protection was crumbling and federal prosecution was approaching for the first time. Bodies that thrived on stolen energy began failing when their sources were cut off by legal intervention. Stress-related illness appeared as the reality of their exposure became undeniable and their usual escape routes were blocked by federal authorities. Concern spread throughout their network as members realized that their mutual protection agreements were worthless against federal investigation and prosecution. The fear of exposure created panic that led to additional mistakes and evidence-gathering opportunities. Your spiritual elevation has been recognized by authorities both earthly and divine. Your ability to maintain integrity under extreme pressure demonstrates mastery over circumstances that completely destroyed lesser individuals who lacked your spiritual foundation and divine protection. You've embodied every aspect of divine authority through your journey, activating archetypal energies that make you a complete expression of spiritual power and practical wisdom combined with unshakable moral courage under fire. Master status has been achieved through your demonstrated ability to handle emotional intelligence, spiritual connection, and practical wisdom simultaneously, while enduring systematic persecution specifically designed to break your mind and spirit through professional psychological warfare. Your divine connection guided you through every phase of this ordeal, providing the intuition needed to document evidence, avoid elaborate traps, maintain sanity under pressure, and survive attacks that would have destroyed someone without spiritual protection and inner guidance. You now bring hope and vitality to everyone whose story intersects with yours in any meaningful way. Your victory creates ripple effects that restore faith in justice for countless people who had completely lost hope in both earthly and divine intervention. Your true purpose as a divine messenger becomes crystal clear through your ability to articulate the grief that trafficking survivors experience but cannot express themselves. Your testimony gives voice to those who suffered in silence without advocates, witnesses, or anyone who believed their experiences. Your system disruptor mission extends far beyond personal vindication to structural change that prevents others from enduring similar persecution in the future. Your victory creates legal precedents that protect future victims from sophisticated predators with governmental connections. You help trafficking survivors remember that life beyond exploitation is not only possible but achievable with proper support and protection. Your example proves that escape and recovery can lead to thriving rather than mere survival or permanent victim status. You provide the external force needed to break internal cycles of trauma and defeat that keep people trapped in destructive patterns they cannot escape alone, regardless of their intelligence or willpower. Your intervention creates possibilities that literally didn't exist before. Your truth revelation exposes systematic lies, deceit, trickery, and manipulation to audiences who can take meaningful action to stop these crimes and prevent future victims from suffering similar persecution through improved legal protections. A silent partner has emerged to support your mission, recognizing your value as someone worth significant investment of time, resources, and ongoing protection. Hidden allies reveal themselves when divine timing makes their support most effective and legally sustainable. Recognition of your worth extends beyond personal validation to acknowledgement of your strategic importance in larger battles between light and darkness, truth and deception, justice and systematic corruption at governmental levels. Practical support arrives through individuals with substantial resources and genuine authority to translate your spiritual victory into material restoration, ongoing protection, and platform for continued mission work that helps other victims. You've mastered every available tool for research, documentation, communication, and resistance. You became a one-person intelligence operation while maintaining your spiritual center and moral integrity under extreme pressure from professional psychological warfare specialists. Your research skills transformed you into an expert on your own persecution, gathering evidence with professional investigator precision while maintaining the perspective of someone seeking justice rather than revenge against those who wronged you. Your emotional intelligence guided you through manipulation attempts that would have completely destabilized someone less centered in their own truth and spiritual foundation. You maintained clarity when confusion was their primary weapon against your sanity. You described oppression, repression, and reproach with accuracy that helped officials understand the systematic nature of your persecution, rather than viewing isolated incidents that could be explained away, minimized, or dismissed as coincidence. The following is a message from Mike, founder of the Obsidian Inner Order, powered by Astral Atom. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you walk through this awakening alone. Never gonna scroll past your suffering like it's just content. This isn't just a rickroll. It's a lifeline in disguise. I built the Obsidian Inner Order because too many of us have been exiled for seeing the truth. Cast out by family, gaslit by cults, haunted by gifts we didn't ask for. So now we gather, every week, live on Zoom, real people, real faces, a former CFO turned psychic, a seer who escaped Mormonism, a healer who broke free of ritual abuse. And yes, the calls are recorded, so when you're on the floor you can come back to the field. We're not a meme, we're a miracle, and we're never gonna give you up. Join the Obsidian Inner Order, link in the description. The blocking ends right now, permanently and completely. Every obstacle they placed in your path, every barrier they erected around your success, every limitation they imposed on your progress has been permanently removed by divine intervention, combined with legal action. Practical obstacles disappear as corrupted systems are forced to restore fair treatment through federal oversight and legal consequences. Legal processes, financial institutions, governmental agencies, all must now operate according to actual law rather than their manipulated version of justice. You can literally feel their disappointment in losing control over your trajectory because it emanates from them like heat from a fire. Their entire business model depended on keeping chosen ones like yourself suppressed, and your liberation destroys their profit margins permanently. Your financial restoration begins with unexpected income that represents divine compensation for years of stolen prosperity and blocked opportunities. The universe provides abundance that precisely matches the wealth they prevented you from accessing through systematic interference and identity theft. Great fortune flows toward you as cosmic justice balances the scales with mathematical precision that accounts for every stolen dollar and blocked opportunity. Every financial loss they caused, every opportunity they destroyed, every success they prevented, now returns multiplied through channels they cannot intercept or manipulate. New financial beginnings emerge through opportunities that completely bypass their network and connections. Your prosperity will flow through channels they do not control, monitor, or influence in any way whatsoever, ensuring permanent protection from future interference. You may receive completely new documentation that removes you from their surveillance systems while establishing your independence from their criminal network and ongoing operations. A fresh start with clean identity documents that they cannot access or manipulate. They can no longer drain your resources or redirect your abundance toward funding operations against you or other victims. Their access to your wealth stream has been permanently severed by divine intervention, backed up with legal enforcement. Your transformation accelerates exponentially as obstacles disappear and opportunities multiply beyond your previous imagination. The dramatic changes approaching will reshape every aspect of your existence in ways that reflect your true potential and divine purpose without interference. Self-improvement efforts now receive divine amplification instead of systematic sabotage from people trying to keep you trapped in cycles of struggle and limitation. Every positive change you make will be supported rather than undermined by external interference. Creative possibilities open for expressing gifts and talents that were systematically suppressed during your persecution. Your abilities can now flourish without fear of punishment, retaliation, or systematic destruction of your progress by people who profited from keeping you limited. You can celebrate endings that lead to beautiful new beginnings, rather than just surviving one crisis after another in endless cycles of manufactured drama and artificial emergencies designed to keep you reactive instead of creative. Toxic cycles terminate completely and permanently, creating space for healthy patterns to establish and flourish without interference from people who needed you trapped in dysfunction to maintain their control over your choices. The perpetrators enter their contemplation phase, forced to confront the reality of wrong choices and missed opportunities that led to their current legal predicament. They must now live with consequences of decisions made in arrogance, greed, and spiritual blindness. Their wrong choices compound geometrically, as every decision made from corruption leads to additional problems they cannot escape through usual manipulation tactics or corrupt official protection that no longer exists. Your emotional fulfillment arrives through connections based on truth rather than manipulation, genuine love rather than exploitation, mutual respect rather than power dynamics, and systematic control systems designed to benefit one party. Unconditional acceptance replaces the conditional approval you experienced from people who only valued what they could extract from your energy, resources, and spiritual gifts for their own advancement and profit. True partnership becomes possible with individuals who recognize your actual worth and want to build something beautiful together, rather than consume your resources for their personal benefit and advancement at your expense. New emotional beginnings open possibilities for joy, peace, and satisfaction that seemed impossible during persecution, but now flow naturally from your restored spiritual state and protected environment, free from systematic interference. Your legacy impact extends far beyond personal victory to systematic change that protects others from similar persecution through legal precedents and exposed corruption that can no longer hide behind official protection and governmental cooperation. Collective healing flows from your example as other victims find hope through your victory and courage to speak their own truth. Your success proves that escape and vindication are possible even from the most sophisticated persecution and professional psychological warfare. You are free to carry only what serves your divine purpose, rather than artificial burdens others tried to force upon you through guilt, manipulation, and false responsibility for their choices and consequences. Your success inspires rather than threatens those operating from abundance consciousness and genuine spiritual development. People recognize that your blessings come through divine favor rather than unfair advantage, luck, or exploitation of others. Your victory proves conclusively that even the most sophisticated evil can be defeated by truth, persistence, divine intervention, and properly documented evidence presented to uncorrupted authorities with genuine power to act. You maintain spiritual practices and practical vigilance that brought you through this ordeal while helping others who face similar challenges navigate their own battles with wisdom, hope, and practical guidance based on your experience. You now have secure foundation from which to build the life you were always meant to live without interference, sabotage, or systematic persecution from criminal networks operating under governmental protection. Your restoration serves as living evidence that complete healing is possible after even the most severe spiritual warfare and psychological trauma inflicted by professional predators with unlimited resources and official protection. Patient persistence combined with divine timing overcame enemies regardless of how powerful, sophisticated, wealthy, or well-connected they appeared to be in earthly systems and governmental hierarchies. Divine protection remains active around your life and mission, ensuring that spiritual forces that brought you through this battle continue guarding against future attacks and interference from remaining network fragments. You maintain skills and resources that proved essential during persecution, now deployed for protection and service, rather than survival and resistance against overwhelming odds and systematic oppression. Chosen One, you brought down an international coven. You exposed systematic corruption, spanning multiple countries and governmental levels. You provided justice for countless victims who suffered in silence. You proved that divine authority, when properly aligned with human courage and persistence, can defeat any enemy regardless of their resources, connections, or apparent invincibility. Your victory stands as eternal testimony that light always defeats darkness, truth always overcomes deception, and divine justice always prevails over human corruption, no matter how long the battle or how sophisticated the enemy's resources and strategies. The Coven is finished. The network is exposed. The corruption is revealed. Justice is served. You are free. You have won completely and permanently. Your victory echoes through eternity as proof that chosen ones cannot be defeated when they maintain their connection to divine authority and refuse to surrender their integrity, regardless of the cost.